All right, so we're diving deep today, really deep.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at some dialogues all about innovation in forest engineering. Like,
Okay.
think about this is like your express lane,
Mm-hmm.
straight to the future of
Straight
forest.
to future. Yeah.
And we've got all these sources just overflowing with ideas on like forest management, how we can actually like, conserve and restore these ecosystems,
Yeah.
sustainable practices, right? The stuff everyone's talking about these days.
Right.
And even like forest-based bioenergy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
are you ready to like kind of get your mind blown by all the cutting edge ideas that are shaping like the forests we know and love?
I think so. Yeah, let's do it. And I think what's really interesting about these dialogues is they're not just looking at the new, shiny toys, the new technology, but how all of these things are sort of interweaving together to create like a more holistic,
Oh, just
sustainable future.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So like let's just jump right in. I mean, I'm personally super curious about like forest management techniques and how those are evolving.
Yeah.
Like what's kind of jumped out at you from these dialogues?
Well, I think what's really cool is how technology is being integrated, you know? One of the projects that they talked about was using precision forestry, where they're actually using drones.
Oh, drones.
Yeah, drones to collect data.
Okay.
And they're using that data to strategically thin forests.
In forests.
Yeah, which does two things. It reduces the risk of wildfires, obviously, and it also maximizes the timber yield. So you're actually getting more out of the forest, but you're doing it in a way that's, you know, more informed.
More strategic.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that's kind of coming into play. It's not just, people going out there and eyeballing it anymore, you know?
No, it's like data driven.
It's data driven, yeah.
Using data to make better decisions, basically, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly, yeah.
Which, I think a lot of people are thinking about, like, is that good? Is that bad? Are we interfering too much with natural processes? I mean, there's always two sides to every coin, right?
Absolutely. I think, and that leads perfectly to the next theme, which is, how are we conserving and restoring forest ecosystems?
Huge. That's like,
It's huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
everyone's on the edge of their seat about that one, right?
Right.
Like, how do we get that balance?
Well, one of the things they talk about is assisted natural regeneration, which is kind of a mouthful.
Assisted natural regeneration.
Yeah, but essentially what it means is you're not just going out there and planting trees, You're actually trying to create the conditions where the forest can regrow itself naturally.
Oh, okay.
So you're kind of giving it a helping hand, but you're not dictating what happens,
So, like, we're letting nature do its thing, but we're kind of helping it along a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are there any downsides to that, though? I mean,
There are always trade-offs, right?
Yeah.
And they do bring up the fact that this requires like a really deep understanding of that specific ecosystem. Like what are the conditions,
Yeah.
what are the species, what are the,
you got to really know what you're doing.
You really got to know what you're doing. And it might also take longer to show results compared to like the traditional like plant a tree kind of method.
Okay.
But they also highlight that in the long term, this can lead to a more biodiverse
Okay.
and a more resilient forest.
Yeah, like a stronger forest, basically.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
can withstand like changes in climate and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's like, sometimes the slow road is the better one, right?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so we've talked about like, managing forests, conserving them, restoring them. But what about like the way we actually use the forests, right? I mean, that's a big part of
It's huge.
sustainable forestry, right? These practices and these certification programs that we always hear about.
Right.
Like, I think a lot of people listening are probably thinking like, okay, how do I know when I buy a wood product that it's actually coming from a place that's doing things responsibly?
Right.
Like, are those programs actually evolving to meet that demand?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the big things that they highlight is transparency and traceability. It's not enough to just say, oh, this wood is from a sustainable forest. You got to be able to prove it, right?
Yeah, like show me the receipts, basically.
Actually, receipts.
Like, where did this come from?
Exactly.
How was it harvested?
Exactly. And they talk about the Forest Stewardship Council, the FSC, which is, a big one.
Yeah, I've seen that label.
You've seen the label, right? And they're actually updating their standards to be even stricter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
So they're talking about things like protecting high conservation value forests. the really important areas that we need to keep intact.
Like old growth forests and stuff like that.
Yeah, old growth forests, endangered species, those kinds of things.
Yep.
And also making sure that the rights of indigenous communities are respected, because a lot of times these forests are on land that's been managed by indigenous people for centuries, and they have, a stake in this.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's really about making sure that everyone's voice is heard.
Everyone benefits too. That's a good point.
Yeah,
So they're basically trying to make it easier for us, the consumer, to actually make those informed choices, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
They want you to be able to walk into a store, see that label, and know exactly what you're getting.
Awesome. Okay, so we've talked about sustainability, but what about like the cool stuff?
Yeah.
The future of like using forests for energy. I'm talking about forest-based bioenergy. This is like a whole new frontier.
Right. It is, yeah.
I'm kind of geeking out a little bit about this one. Like,
Yeah.
what's got you excited?
Well, I think what's really cool is that they're talking about, taking things like wood residues, like stuff that's left over from logging or sawmills,
Okay, yeah.
and also fast-growing trees. So you're not necessarily cutting down, old growth to do this.
Right, right.
And they're converting that into renewable energy.
Okay.
So, biofuels is a big one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like, imagine, like, driving your car.
With wood, basically.
Well, with energy that's derived from wood.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
But like, isn't there a risk that we could like, I don't know, over harvest, and end up with like deforestation and habitat loss and all that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And they really emphasize that, responsible harvesting practices are absolutely essential.
Yeah, we can't just go crazy.
We can't just go crazy.
Yeah.
It's not just about utilizing the resource, it's about utilizing it in a way that ensures that those forests are healthy and productive for, decades, centuries to come.
Right, right. Long-term, thank you.
Long-term thinking, yeah. And they talk about some really innovative approaches like coppicing.
Compassing. What's compassing?
So coppicing is this technique where you cut a tree down, but you do it in a way that allows it to regrow from its stump.
So like it sprouts back up.
Yeah, it sprouts back up, yeah.
Yeah.
And it actually minimizes soil disturbance and it promotes faster regeneration.
So it's like less impactful on the ecosystem overall.
It's less impactful, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's really cool, yeah.
So I mean, we've gone through a lot here, from like drones flying over forests to biofuels. It's pretty mind-blowing how much innovation is happening in the world of forests, right?
It really is. It's really exciting to see how much ingenuity and creativity is being applied to this challenge of, creating a more sustainable future. And I think the key takeaway for me is that it's not just about, one single innovation. It's about how all of these things are interconnected.
Right, right.
Technology, conservation, responsible practices, renewable energy solutions.
It's all one big web, basically.
Little one big web.
Like a forest ecosystem.
Like a forest, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that kind of leaves us with a final thought for everyone listening, right?
Right.
We've learned about all these amazing innovations. Now the question is, what do we do with this knowledge?
Right.
Right? Like, how can we actually use this to make better choices in our own lives? When we're at the store buying wood products, or when we're, voting on policies that affect forests.
Yeah.
How can we make sure that we're actually contributing to a healthier planet?
Right.
I mean, that's something I'm going to be thinking about.
Yeah, me too.
So, food for thought, right? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a really interesting journey.
It has. It has.
Hope you all learned something new.
Me too.
See you next time.
Bye.